Hi, everyone. I'm Eddie Salas, and welcome back to The Price Point. This series is about bringing together technology, expertise, and practical insights to navigate the complexities of today's fast-evolving business landscape. It's not just about understanding challenges, it's about uncovering opportunities and sparking conversations that matter. Today's discussion, which we're titling One Vision, One Team, One Price, we're going to be focusing in on the foundation for pricing success. It's one word, it's collaboration. Pricing does not exist in isolation. It requires alignment across the organization to unlock its full potential. While it often starts with having a dedicated pricing team, true success relies on the seamless integration across merchants, senior leaders, and digital teams. To transform pricing into a strategic advantage, each group has a distinct and essential role to play. Together, they create a cohesive ecosystem capable of driving impactful results and long-term growth. So for each one of these groups, we're going to provide what their key focus should be and also provide a few handful of aspects on how to achieve that respective focus. In future installments of The Price Point, we'll take a deeper dive into each one of these groups. However, today I just really want to introduce them to y'all today. So let's start off with the pricing team. One key word, strategic. The pricing team has got to move from a tactical unit to a strategic unit. So how do they do that? There's a number of ways where they can. I'll give you 3 or 4 examples though. One of them is, how do you differentiate standard reporting from competitive intelligence? Right? Standard reporting is really geared towards your end users. Those are going to be information like competitive price changes, price indices, where your margin targets are, and so on and so forth, right? Those reports are used to be able to help your end users manage their price changes they're going to be enacting on a day-to-day or week-to-week basis. That's vastly different from competitive intelligence. Competitive intelligence is really getting a true understanding of what competition's actually doing, whether it's their philosophy in terms of their price changes. Are they a high-low operator? Are they EDLP? Are they cost plus? To understanding if they regionalize their pricing or what's actually going on in their 10Q filings, right? Being able to understand all of that information really helps inform senior leaders who are going to be really the end users for that competitive intelligence, set the tone for really where future strategies go for the organization. So make sure you create that differentiation between the standard reports and competitive intelligence. As part of that, pricing teams need to operate outside of the numbers, right? Get yourself out of the analysis and actually tell the story to both senior leaders and to the merchants about what you're actually seeing, right? Don't just deliver a report just to deliver a report. Tell the story. The pricing team is going to be the team that fully is going to understand what's going on and what the numbers are trying to articulate. Communicate that out. Make sure you also understand your end user. Tailor the conversation based upon their expertise. Merchants are great at negotiations and they are masters of their products, right? Senior leaders are really looking at high level information and really want to understand things at a high level vantage point. So when we're talking with senior leaders or we're talking with merchants or whoever, make sure you understand whatever you're going to communicate to them, it actually is tailored toward that respective group. Don't always get into the details, into the weeds. Sometimes you're going to have to get out of that in order to ensure that whatever you're trying to communicate gets adopted or is actionable. But also don't settle for as is. Identify what you're doing well and figure out ways to make them better. And identify gaps and fill those gaps. This is a journey. This is not going to be something that's going to change overnight. These little steps of incrementality is going to help you move your pricing team from a tactical unit to a strategic unit. Again, this is a much larger conversation. In future installments of The Price Point, we'll explore what it truly means to be a pricer and how to embrace that strategic mindset required for success. By aligning with these priorities, pricing teams can lead with confidence, inspire collaboration, and drive lasting results. So now let's move over to the next one, merchants. Okay? One word for merchants, engage. Merchants have got to be actively engaged with pricing. All right? Some things they can do, take ownership on key decisions, whether it's the actual pricing moves or something to the extent of competitive product mapping. In a lot of organizations, the merchant's own price. So make sure you don't pass that off. Make sure the merchants are in there to be able to get an understanding of what the data is telling them. When we're talking about competitive product mapping, this is, think about private label. You've got a private label, competition has a private label. Do you link those two, yes or no? From one vantage point, from a pricer perspective, you may say that looks like it needs to be aligned, but the merchants are going to be able to understand the nuances of each one of those products to see if they're actually true alignment at the end of the day. But again, that's where the engagement of merchants needs to come into play. Merchants have also got to be able to view pricing as a leverage, very similar to assortment. This can be a very powerful lever to help secure cost and deals or identify which supplier you want to work with. I mean, let's take an example of this. Imagine the pricing team provides the merchant a report on where competition is below a particular supplier's cost. That merchant can now go back to that supplier and start asking those questions to potentially help secure some of those respective deals. And if they don't, and they're not getting good answers, maybe this is now where assortment comes into play to be able to help provide that leverage. Pricing is very powerful. The data that it provides can yield a lot of different insights. Merchants have also got to communicate decisions and deviations from strategy to the pricing team. You want to make sure that there's alignment between the two and there's synergy between the two, because questions are going to get asked, especially from the senior leadership level, which is a good segue into kind of really getting an understanding where senior leaders can really elevate these efforts and drive strategic alignment across the organization. So the one word for senior leaders, it's elevate. Senior leadership has got to elevate pricing to executive levels. All right. So where leadership's role in pricing, they need to be able to integrate pricing into executive strategy sessions. This is absolutely critical because of how impactful pricing decisions or strategies can have on the P&L. Right? Define and champion organizational pricing objectives along with constantly measure the performance. This really helps sets the tone of the importance of pricing. If pricing and the merchants see senior leaders actively involved in asking questions on what's going on with strategy or why competition did X or why competition did Y, there's going to be this heightened awareness for ensuring that you're on top of your game when it comes to pricing. Lastly, senior leaders have got to support pricing with an adequate budgeting and resources. I guarantee you the return on investment that you'll get by backing pricing initiatives will pay itself tenfold. And whether we're talking about competitive data sets, whether we're talking about price management systems, whether we're talking about price intelligence solutions, all that information, especially with how critical pricing is at the end of the day, is going to pay itself much more than tenfold. So senior leaders, make sure you provide that adequate budgeting and resources at the end of the day. One thing I'd also like to mention, I've got to emphasize how critical it is for your pricing leader to work closely with senior leaders. This collaboration is essential for developing cohesive organizational strategies, understanding the financial impacts of strategic shifts, and gaining a broader perspective on competition that goes beyond the data itself. By embracing these responsibilities and fostering the strong collaboration, senior leaders can ensure that pricing becomes a true driver of long-term success for the organization. All right, so we've got through 3 of them. Now the big question is how do you tie a lot of this together? And this is where digital comes into play. Does digital provide the infrastructure needed to enable pricing to thrive as a strategic function? So the one word for digital, support, right? So keys to effective digital support, there's a lot of them, but here's a handful of them. Allocate resources to build and scale pricing processes. I've always maintained that strategies are just words until you have the tools and mechanisms to execute upon them. And those tools and mechanisms can't be Excel. Excel is a great application to be able to provide visibility or different types of reporting. Excel is not a price management tool, right? And digital team has got to be able to provide the support to be able to get to that, whether that's purchasing something through third party, whether that's an internal built application. Digital has also got to prioritize pricing as a key strategic initiative and see it as an evolving capability. Pricing is one half of the profitability equation, so you want to ensure that the tools are there to effectively manage it. And very similarly, that seamless integration between pricing tools is critical. There shouldn't be any complications between managing price and executing on price. If competition makes a price change on the key critical item, I need to be able to manage that and either take care of that today or tomorrow. I can't wait until next week or 2 weeks from now in order to make those changes. That's where that seamless integration comes into play within the infrastructure. The digital team's role extends beyond support. It serves as that connection that ties pricing strategies to execution. By aligning tools, processes, and priorities, they ensure pricing decisions are agile, informed, and actionable, driving alignment across the organization. So in summary, to wrap this up, as we bring these key aspects together, we see how they create a synchronized ecosystem capable of delivering measurable and meaningful impacts. Success in pricing does not happen in isolation. It requires collaboration across teams. The pricing team has got to transition from a tactical unit to a strategic one. The merchants have got to be actively engaged. Senior leaders have got to set the vision and set the tone and ensure the alignment of priorities, resources, and accountability. And the digital team provides the infrastructure and tools that enable seamless execution and adaptability. Together, these elements form a cohesive strategy that transforms pricing into a competitive advantage. In closing, I'd like to thank you for your time, for watching today and engaging with this session. Your feedback is incredibly valuable, whether it's about what resonated, what you'd like to explore further in the future, or ideas for improving this conversation. Please don't hesitate to share your thoughts with me. I look forward to continuing this journey with all of you. Thank you for being part of this, and I'm excited to hear your thoughts. Remember, one vision, one team, one price. Pricing is all about collaboration. It's not in isolation. And with that, welcome to the Price Point.